Did you hear this? I this afternoon, a House panel, the Republican-led House Appropriations Committee, voted 30 to 21 to reduce grants to Amtrak by $250 million. That's a drop of about 15% from last year's level, which also had been cut. This comes not 24 hours after a train derailment that left at least 7 people dead and a couple hundred injured. If you need to know anything about the Republican Party, that's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. Now, the measure still needs to clear the full House and Senate before it would go into effect in October. But the level of madness that is eating holes in these Republicans' brains is just astonishing. I've never never seen, heard, or even heard rumors of this kind of psychosis among these Republicans. Democrats on this panel had tried to boost Amtrak's funding by $1 billion, but the Republicans argued their usual thing that any increase in spending to Amtrak would have to be offset by cuts somewhere else. And Representative Mike Simpson, a Republican bastard from Idaho, said to the Democrats, he was admonishing Democrats for pointing to the derailment as an example of how much of this country's infrastructure is desperately in need of some work. It doesn't make any difference if the train exceeded the speed limit by a factor of 2. The fact that the train did derail, just one of how many of these in the past, I don't know, 5-6 years. But Mike Simpson, the creep from Idaho, said, quote, "Don't use this tragedy in that way. It's beneath you." Yeah, you son of a bitch. Now, the derailment last night in Philly is renewing the focus on how desperately in need of maintenance, upgrading, replacement the U.S. infrastructure is. Most countries do this as a matter of course. Most civilized countries, most countries that I mean, this is the United States. We're supposed to be the richest country on earth. Most countries do this as a matter of simple maintenance. It's like changing your underwear occasionally, right, Republicans? It's like taking a bath once in a while. It's like redoing your porch before it collapses from the termites. I mean, what the hell is wrong with these people? Um, In a separate House Transportation Committee hearing today, Democrats like Peter DeFazio, where's he from, Oregon? Complained about spending cuts, saying that Republicans should be, quote, cognizant of the real world out there, of what happened last night, of what the capital needs of Amtrak are, and will not engage in short-sighted budget cutting, end quote. White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest said today on CNN that investing more in transportation infrastructure, quote, is a common sense decision. We don't live in the land of common sense, Josh. We don't. Ernest added, there is clearly more that can be done when we're talking about a railway infrastructure that is decades old. If there's an opportunity for us to make further investments in our infrastructure, that would better safeguard the traveling public, then those investments are what we should make. Oh, my God. Opposition to these funding cuts is, in fairness, I should say, it's not just coming from the Democrats. Some Republicans representing districts in that Northeast corridor are pushing back against members of their own party who want to cut funding and privatize the rail service. Oh, of course. Every other country on earth has a national rail service, right? I remember one time being rescued by the Canadian National Railway. I do. I was 14. And there were 12 of us. Remember, I told you about that canoe trip that we made? And we were temporarily lost. Now, we had a compass, we had maps, but that's the wilderness up there. We wandered around for a while until we came to a railroad track going through the absolute wilderness. And we waited about a day. Sure enough, eventually we heard a train coming. Well, the two adults who were leading us, group of, I guess, 11 boys, started frantically waving. One of them had one of those red lumberjack shirts, and he started waving it like crazy. Well, unbelievably, the Canadian National Railway train stopped. It actually stopped. Now, from the time they saw us till the time they stopped, the engine was probably a good 200 yards further down, but we all ran up. And, they're not used to seeing people out in the middle of the wilderness. That's why they stopped, I guess. And we told them what the situation was. And the first thing they did was offer to take us into the next big city. We said, no, we're on a wilderness trip, believe it or not. And so they answered whatever questions the counselors had. But I will always remember that, Canadian National Railway. Now, the key word in there is national. Doesn't just about every country have a national transportation system, a national railway at least? Most countries have national airlines, don't they? Not here. Not here.